20 years ago, in 1999, we had an individual in our program, Kory Schramm, and he was unbelievable. And him and I saw eye to eye. That was important. You know, he was a little guy like me, but you know, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of fighting the dog, and that was Kory. And Ryan here, his best friend's gonna talk about him because he knew him better than anybody. And also I got Coach Schramm here who gave Kory a nickname. What was that nickname you gave him?
Kory Bam Bam Schramm.
Bam Bam Schramm. So, okay, Ryan, you're up.
First and foremost, I wanted to thank everyone for allowing me to be here today. On behalf of myself, my family, the Schramm family, Kory was a huge part of all of our lives and a huge part of Aquinas Institute. Athletics in general to him were some of the biggest parts of his life. And I can just speak from experience. I know how important Aquinas Institute is to me and to my family. I'm very lucky to say that I was a third generation Aquinas graduate, and this little guy that stands right here in front of me is Kory Daniel Dwyer. He'll be the fourth generation Dwyer to go to this wonderful school, and as you know, he bears my best friend's name, so he's very proud of that as well. Like I said, I didn't want to take up too much of your time because I know how hard everyone's worked all season long to get ready for this big night and how much hard work has gone into it, and I can only imagine how excited all of you are to get out there. I just wanted to share a couple stories about how my experience came to be here at Aquinas. As I mentioned, my father went here, my uncles went here. My brother was actually a freshman in '93, I believe, when Ali fought. Is that when?
Yeah, 94.
It was 94?
Yep.
So that was my first time coming anywhere near the school. I came and I remember just the awe of being here when Muhammad Ali walked in, and how amazing the magic that was in the air that night. And I don't know about you, but I hope you're all very proud to be a part of this program and to be coached by such an amazing person. I don't know about you, but how many people can say that they're being coached by someone that shadowboxed Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer that ever lived? That's pretty special, and there's not too many people that can say that. I know that's a very proud moment in Coach's life, and as you can see by all the memorabilia that's all around, it's a huge part of the history of this program. So that year, my brother was fighting. He fought Todd Jamakowski to a very good fight, and believe it or not, at the time my sister's boyfriend Chris Baldwin was here fighting one of the heavyweight bouts. I can't remember who he fought, but it was one of the absolute most hard-fought battles I'd ever seen. And going on 2 years later, I was a freshman, and when I first met Kory, I'm not sure if they still do it or not, but there's a football camp that they host prior to double sessions starting for the football team, and that's where I was lucky enough to meet this gentleman to my left. This is John Way. He's another classmate of Kory's and also one of my other best friends as well as Kory's. We all met that week where we did our football camp, and we've all been best friends ever since. Obviously, the only one that's missing now is Kory, but what we do have is all of the memories that we cherish and the memories that we made. And the older that I get, and I'm now married with 3 kids and a career and a lot less free time, so I don't get to share stories with Kurt and Wendy and my friend here as often as I'd like. But that's why I was so honored and blessed and happy to be able to come in here and share some time with the young student athletes, because it's so important to continue that legacy, not only of Kory, but of the program and the history of athletics and excellence that is this program. I know one of Wendy's fears right after Kory passed was, you know, she pulled me aside and she's just, I'm really worried that as time passes that people will forget. And I've told Wendy time and time again, every time I have the blessings of spending time with their family, that Kory will never be forgotten. And it's opportunities like this to share his stories and talk about all the things that he achieved that allow us to really reflect. So that being said, just to talk a little bit about his accolades, obviously he was a 4-year boxer here at the program. I believe 2-time fighter of the night.
Yeah.
Is that correct? His 2 last fights against Scott Emery, his junior and senior year, 2 of the most epic battles I've witnessed in a boxing ring, whether it be amateur, professional, or otherwise. 2 of the most amazing fights fought by 2 just amazingly hard-fought, dedicated athletes. Just to give you an idea of how seriously Kory took his athletics, I can remember sitting in study hall with him a week or so leading up to the fight, and he's telling me how he's got to go to the doctors to take care of his notes. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? It's like, I'm a bleeder, man. I'm a bleeder. And he hated the fact that he even got punched one single time. I know you remember this. His nose would start bleeding, and he hated that. So he went and he got his nose cauterized each week before the fight to try to stem some of that bleeding. You know, so That's how seriously dedicated he took his craft. That's how seriously he wanted to do well, how seriously he wanted to excel at everything that he did. Part of what makes Kory so special is how he approached life. He was a very focused, very dedicated individual. He was dedicated to his family, first and foremost. He was dedicated to his friends. I can speak that from experience, as well as John Dwyer here to my left. We are blessed to have known him. He was very dedicated, first and foremost, to his studies. What Kory was most proud of coming out of Aquinas was how well he did in school. And he was lucky enough to go to Hartwick and go on to have a great time there as well. He was also dedicated to taking care of his body and to his athletics. As you can see, obviously, he was a four-time boxer here, four-year boxer. He started off his freshman year on the football program as one of our fifth quarter warriors. For those of you who don't know, it's kind of like the game after the game for freshman football. So he went from that to being a key piece in our state championship team in the fall of '98. So reason I say that is anyone that feels that, you know, you have a challenge, or maybe you're a little bit smaller, or maybe you're a little bit slower, or maybe you're not as strong as the person that you're going to be fighting, or the person that's lined up against you, don't ever let that be something that holds you back. Don't ever let that discourage you from trying to reach your goals, because I can tell you what, Kory sure never did. He was all 5'5", 150 pounds, soaking wet, and that's being kind. I know our college football programs added about 3 inches and 20 pounds. Kory always really enjoyed that. So just to continue on, so he was obviously a key piece to our state championship run in '98. Great boxing career. He went on to be a 4-year starter at Hartwick College. It is a premier Division III football program down in Oneonta, where he rewrote more records than I can ever remember. He was a 4-year starter, as I mentioned, 27 interceptions. Let me repeat that one more time. 27 career interceptions in college. For those of you who are doing some quick math, that's a little over 6 interceptions a year. He got no respect from opposing quarterbacks because of his height and because of his size. And they love to come at him and attack him, and they paid the price for that more times than not. Funny story about that, I was actually a linebacker for St. John Fisher when Kory and the Oneonta and the Hartwick Hawks rolled into town, and they kicked our butt all over the football field, and I think I forgot what team I was on at one point, because Kory picked off my quarterback right in front of me on the sideline, and next thing I know, I'm like jumping up and down and hooting and hollering and cheering for the wrong team. It took me a week or two to smooth that over with our quarterback, but I made up for it. So like I said, Kory, the quote that Coach opened up with really sums it up. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. Everyone always doubted Kory because of his size, and he took great pleasure in proving those people wrong. Kory had a lot of confidence, and there's a fine line between confidence and cockiness, and Kory wasn't cocky. He was very confident in his abilities as both a human being, as a student, and as an athlete. So like I said, thank you so much for allowing me to be here and give you a few pearls of wisdom. I can tell you, like I said at the beginning, how blessed I am to have been a part of this great program and this great school, and how happy I am to eventually send the next generation to this great school, because I know this guy's pumped up. And that being said, I wanted to leave everyone here today with a little quote that's one of my favorites, and I know Coach shares the same admiration for this quote as well. And I think this is really applicable to not just sports, athletics, but applicable to life as a whole. It's a quote called "The Man in the Arena." It's written by Teddy Roosevelt. So bear with me. For those of you, I know it might be a shock to some, but I did not do well in public speaking class here at Aquinas. So please bear with me as I get through this. All right. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither knew victory nor defeat. Sorry that's a little wordy, but I feel very strongly about that quote, and I think, like I said, it bears a lot of credence to what we're all about as people, and what we're trying to achieve each and every day. As I tell people at my work and my family and my young kids, try to be a better person each and every day. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to go and do great things. All right, so best of luck to each and every one of you tonight. Once again, thank you so much on behalf of myself, my family, friends, Kurt and Wendy Schramm. Best of luck, and God bless, and go out there and have some fun, okay?
This together for you.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes. Oh, yes.
So Kory was successful as an athlete, and he was a really good basketball player. I don't know if you know this, Kory. So he tried out for his basketball team when he was a freshman, and he didn't make it. And he came home and said, I didn't make it. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And, you know, he really didn't say anything else. I said, you think it was your size? And he never wanted to, you know, bring it, I don't know, you know. So you know, next day he went to school, he came home, he said, Mom, I joined the boxing team. And that was it. He never looked back. And as you know, he was pretty successful boxing.
Oh, yeah.
So,
There must my game. That's right.
so there's always something better.
Yes.
Don't give up.
All right, so thank you all for being here, and have a great night, okay, guys?
Yeah. All right.